Coming at you from all across the galaxy, welcome to Clone Force 95. Hey guys, DC Network here, joined by V.
Hello, everyone.
And today we're going to be talking about the future of the Star Wars Rebels sequel series and the impact that's going to have on the Ahsoka Disney Plus series. So basically, if you don't know already, earlier this week, Kessel Run Transmissions, who, if you don't know them, they are very credible leakers in the Star Wars world. And they came out with a video saying that the Rebel sequel series has straight up been canceled, basically, and it's going to be adapted into the Ahsoka show in live action. So essentially, the Rebel sequel series had one season that was completely done animation-wise. Taylor Gray, the voice of Ezra Bridger, he had already completed the recording of all of his lines as well, so they were pretty far along in the process. They said that the show was supposed to premiere in November of 2020, and essentially what happened was Jon Favreau, after the success of The Mandalorian, came to Dave Filoni, and he was like, hey, why don't we start to introduce all these other characters into live action? And essentially Dave was like, all right, let's cancel the Rebel sequel series, and we'll adapt it into live action via Ahsoka. So me personally, I'm not a big fan of this. I feel like, Rebels was in animation, so its sequel series should stick to animation. I'm just not a fan of them jumping from animation to live action with this one.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, DC. So with me, I'm still catching up with Rebels and Clone Wars, but coming from The Mandalorian, which was amazing, and seeing Ahsoka and Bo-Katan for the first time, I can understand like how a fan like you might be a little bit skeptical from these characters that you know and love that were strictly animation now going over to strictly live action. But one of the questions that I wanted to bring up to you was, number one, their live action adaptations in Mando. What was your opinion on them?
So Bo-Katan I thought was fine. I mean, Katie Sackhoff, she plays her in Clone Wars and Rebels, so basically the same thing but live action. As for Ahsoka, I'm in the minority here, but I wasn't the biggest fan of her in live action. I just thought that she was very, very sassy, and I'm just so used to hearing Ashley Eckstein voice her. The thing I will say, though, about her being sassy, we don't know, per se, what her character is like now, because it's been 30 years since we last saw her in Rebels, so maybe she's just changed as a character. Maybe that's just who Ahsoka is now. I can't really be too judgy on that.
Yeah, I understand, and just my strict opinion from The Mandalorian, I thought she was pretty good. Maybe once I finish Clone Wars and Rebels, that opinion might change. But I know, like, one of the podcasts that I watch, he was not a fan of Ahsoka in the animation, but then when he saw her in live action, that opinion completely flipped, and that he likes Ahsoka now in her live action form, played by Rosario Dawson. So I guess that's it. All is dependent on how you feel about the character and how you feel. Like, each adaptation is very different, so it can go either way. But my thing, this was gonna lead into part 2, was that I guess because it was majority successful, the live action adaptation, and how much praise Rosario Dawson and Katie Sackhoff were getting for their live action adaptations in Mando, I guess it's inevitable for them to switch over to live action, because then they would not, it might be taking a step backwards if they were to go from putting them live action and then go back to animation. That kind of was my mindset once I heard that announcement.
Yeah, but the weird thing is, as well, is live action, you could say most audiences watch live action, as opposed to many people have somewhat of a stigma against animation, where they're just like, oh, that's animation, I don't want to watch it. So the weird thing is that obviously by making the Rebel sequel show into live action and Ahsoka, more people are going to see it, right? But on the other hand, the weird thing is, like, people are going to be watching that and like, oh, who's this Ezra Bridger guy? Who's this Sabine character? Like, who are these people? And then they're going to see, oh, this is in an animated show. I don't really want to watch that. So that's the weird thing to me. In addition to that, apparently, according to Kessel Run's transmission, they said this isn't confirmed yet, but Dave Filoni apparently wants to end Ahsoka's story in animation. He wants to make either another show surrounding her or a show that she appears in, where I would assume she then would die if her, arc and story is coming to a conclusion. I don't know how else it would be, but it seems weird to me that you're going from animation in Rebels, live action in the sequel show in Ahsoka, and then back to animation to conclude her story. That just kind of seems a little convoluted to me.
I agree. Just you talking about it like that, I'm like, what? Question mark? But that would be Star Wars is already convoluted enough, especially with the not so hot sequel trilogy that just ended last year. I guess now they just need to really hone in on what they got to do from here on out, and hopefully they make the right decision.
Yeah, so anyways, let us know in the comment section below how you guys feel about this switch in the Rebel sequel show's direction being straight up canceled and it being adapted into Ahsoka. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye, guys.